untreated trauma today, right?
I thought we were doing
I know. Hold on. Hold on. We are live and in color. Yes. I'm your host, Champ Franklin, and we have with us always the beautiful co-host Golden here with us live today. Yes! Ow! We got let me see where we gotta get some excitement for her. Come on, give it to her. Give it to her. We got the cheers going, and we got our theme song, right? We working on that. So for today, we coming in right into the show today.
Yes.
Yeah. So what happened today was my niece. She was carjacked today.
Oh wow! I'm sorry to hear that. She okay?
Yeah, she's okay. They can't find a car at this moment. And so I was on the phone with her and my sister, because she went and picked her up, and so while my niece is in the car, she's crying, right? And her mom is like, "Stop crying," right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, no. She's like, no, because I know her when she started crying, she gonna start throwing up, and you got to go to the hospital and da da da. I'm like, so what? So what? This is her first time getting carjacked. This is her first time going through this here, and how she feels is right. If she wants to cry, you let her cry. Period. Right? And that's the part where I had to help her to understand. Those days of telling people don't cry. Right? Those times to tell somebody how they feel are over. No, how I feel is right. And you don't have the right to tell me how to respond in a situation, because watch this.
Absolutely.
Because it didn't happen to you.
Right.
It didn't happen to you. So you can't tell me how to respond.
Right.
And how. So, and the one thing that I shared with her, I was like, hey, listen, you're going to have to go to therapy. You're going to have to go to therapy specifically for this incident. Right? You were held at gunpoint, and you have to be able to process that. And so that brings us to our today's topic, right? We're talking about the impact of untreated trauma in relationships. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? What impact does your untreated trauma have on your ability to effectively manage, watch this, positive relationships?
Right. But even outside, if you go outside of positive, how it affects a relationship, if you think deeper than that, it affects how the person deals with it and what they are going through. And so they could be managing trauma in different ways, unhealthy ways, of course.
Right.
Alcohol, to promiscuous activity, to just doing things impulsively, not care of themselves, not eating, not sleeping, which can lead to, as we know, PTSD. Mm-hmm. And see so many people suffer from that because they don't realize that what they had going through or what they're having to go through is called trauma. Right. It's trauma. For example, your niece, what she went through today, that is trauma. Mm-hmm. And her dealing with it, just being human, she's going to cry. She's going to scream. She's going to start shaking. She may even throw up. Right. But from this day forward, she has to understand that what happened to her was not her fault. Mm-hmm. Right. She is to blame. Mm-hmm. Don't accept that burden. But It's hard for people not to do that. If I hadn't have turned left instead of turned right, then maybe I wouldn't have gotten hijacked. If I hadn't left the car, blah, blah, blah. No.
Right.
Don't that burden. Don't carry someone else's burden is what I tell people. Don't carry someone else's burden. Because this to you. This is your trauma. This is your journey. So let's deal with it. Let's understand it step by step. Let's walk through it so you can move forward in life, not only for yourself, but to have a healthy relationship. So you're not traumatized and you're not bringing that trauma into your relationship, into your, because it can be a learned behavior. You're traumatized, you go home, then your family's traumatized, and on and on and on and on and on, which is very unhealthy.
It is, and that's why we talk about untreated trauma, and a lot of times we don't know that we have untreated traumas. We don't know, and because we don't know, or we're not taught what a healthy relationship looks like. And so because we don't know what a healthy relationship look like, it's hard for us to identify that we need help. Right. And I know I'm guilty of it because I didn't realize that I had unresolved trauma. And so for me, it was hard to talk. It was hard to be with me. And one of the challenges for me was being emotionally vulnerable. Right. And so avoiding being emotionally vulnerable, my coping mechanism was to crack a joke. Right. Or to say something funny. And that doesn't work. Right. So talk to me. Yeah, so what you were going through was because you had untreated trauma. You were going through psychological, physiological, because you didn't understand your trauma. You didn't know how to deal with yourself. If you don't understand yourself, how in the world are you going to help to manage a relationship? It first starts with you being healthy for yourself, taking care of yourself, understanding where you are, understanding you as a person, and getting down to the nitty gritty. I remember I had this professor when I was going through my psychology program. And she used to say, she was one of the best, other than, she would always say, you will come to find out, that common sense is not very common. Which is true. And also she would say, you know what, when you have a person, a client in front of you or whoever's in front of you, strap up and go for the ride. And so I would say, we are going to go for this ride together. We're going to go through this journey together so you can understand, so you can help to resolve some things with you. But first you have to understand those things. And most people don't understand what they are going through. They don't understand trauma. They just think that something happened, whatever happened, and I just have to get over it. Well, guess what? You can't just get over it. If you don't understand what you're going through, don't blame yourself. It is not your fault. And to get the proper help, you will never get over it. You'll never get over it. Right. So being in a relationship, right? how do you, let's say you see that your partner does not understand trauma, right? You can see they like hitting this in the walls and doing all this other stuff, and that's how they managed over up to their lives up to this particular point. So
It's
how do
called.
you? I'm just saying. The question is, how do you talk to a person or approach somebody who you believe does not understand trauma, and to tell them, bro, you got some trauma, or sis, you got some trauma that you need to deal with.
Well, first of all, you have to be you have to be gentle with the person. You have to you have to get them to understand what they are going through, what you see. Mm-hmm. I've noticed the past 3 months, you're not showering, you are not eating properly, you're not taking care of yourselves, and I've noticed that you're drinking. Let's say that they picked up alcohol. So I want to understand what you are going through. But first, you have to understand whatever you're going through, something in your life has changed, because you are not the same person that I knew 3 months ago. Mm-hmm. And so encourage them to get help. Talk to them about whatever it is that they're going through, because people just don't outwardly talk about their trauma. Mm-hmm. Trauma, unfortunately, comes with a stigma of shame, because I feel like it's something that I did, something that, or I didn't do. Mm-hmm. And so we take on that blame, which we should. So, right. It's about getting the person to trust you, offer them as much support as you can, and even say, hey, you know what? I found this trauma therapist. I think it'll be a great idea if you go. If you like, I can drive you. I can go with you. I can sit outside. Mm-hmm. Just offer as much support as you can. Mm-hmm. Because we all know that you can't make someone go to therapy. Right. And encourage them. Mm-hmm. And you can encourage them by just being gentle, intentional. And what's the other G?
You got to give yourself grace.
Absolutely.
You got to give yourself grace.
Give yourself grace.
And even you have to approach that person with grace.
Right. And that's what they need. So, encouraging someone and what you see, they might see something different. Oh, I'm just going through some things, and the past 3 months you've been going through this. And so let's figure this out. Let's get the help that you need, that we need for our relationship, because things are changing. At night, you go to bed, you're having nightmares. We're not sleeping. We don't have sex anymore. You don't like for me to touch you. So, what is going on? How can I help you? And so just by encouragement and practice that gig.
Right.
Practice that thing called gig goes a long way. But be intentional. And a way of being intentional is reassuring them that you are there. You are there for them. I got you. I will walk with you through this journey. We'll do this together. I'll support you as much as I can. And be intentional by saying, hey, here are some numbers you can call therapists. Maybe get 2 or 3 and hand them to them and say, hey, why don't you look them over? And if you want, you can call them together. So you can get better. So you can feel better. So you can understand what you were going through. Because if you don't understand what you were going through, then you're going to continue to just... Your life is just going to be chaos. It's going to be chaos.
And so, well, just saying, just role playing at this particular point, as far as saying like, hey, I'm a work in progress. Right?
We all are.
I'm a work in progress, right? And I know the Lord is working on me, and I've been praying, and it's taking the Lord a little bit more time to work on me. Um, then what?
Then you say, you know what? We're going to pray about it. We're going to pray together. But in the meantime, hey, what about talking to one of our pastor?
Mm-hmm.
What about talking to the Lord? Yeah, we're all a work in progress. And, I believe in God just like you do. And I'm with you. Pray together, stay together, but encourage them. Maybe God is pointing you in the direction of getting help.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So since we are talking about it, here are some therapists. If you're not comfortable with them, we can find there's all kinds of there's Christian therapy. Mm-hmm. You can start with your church. Mm-hmm. You can go online and look up Christian therapy if that is what but it's all at that point, it's all about them. It's all about their comfort. Mm-hmm. Because right. They are experiencing this trauma. So once they understand the trauma, get the help that they need, then you can work on your relationship, building it back, building it stronger. So does that mean that my relationship is in a pause because you have this unresolved trauma? It means that if you care enough about that person, why do you have to put a label on it? What do you mean, like pause or what? Pause. Yeah. Right. No, the thing is that but here's the thing. Here is the thing, right? What's going to it's already slowed down. Right. It's already slowed down. The thing that what I'm trying to get at is that you come to a space where you understand that your partner has unresolved trauma. Mm-hmm. And to try to minimize things that are going to trigger that person, right? That you can contribute to it. Mm-hmm. Right? There are things that you do that you know that I don't want this person triggered until my partner gets the help, right? Then I have to protect their emotional state when they're with me, right? And that could be understanding those triggers for those particular situations, right? Right? Did you leave? You right there? No, I'm saying. I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you. I guess I am stuck on the pause. Yeah, but because the thing is that this person who is mentally unstable, mm-hmm. right? And I'm like, hey, baby, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. And they are getting frustrated, they're getting upset, and you like, I can't rely on this person for stuff because he get too sensitive about the way I want her or him or her to do something, right? Or they're being mm-hmm. judgmental, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm talking about, where a pause could be considered. That, you know what, we had to have a conversation to say, hey, listen,
Hello?
Hey, what's going on, man?
It's amazing. I got blocked off of a site that I couldn't say hello to people and give you likes.
Yeah.
And they did it. It was crazy. But hello, how's everybody doing on a Veterans Evening?
Can you hear him, Golden?
I can.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Everybody's doing wonderful, man. We talking about unresolved traumas, and thanks for coming on the show again, Porcupine. And and how unresolved trauma affects most of your relationships, if not all of your relationships. And so, and what we were saying is that is it okay to take a pause with your partner when you recognize that there's unresolved trauma that has not been dealt with?
Okay, so what I'm trying to understand is when you say take a pause, that's the part that I'm trying to understand. When you say take a pause, do you mean like take a break from the relationship? Do you mean like what is it that you're
there are levels. I say there can be levels to the pause, right? Like, well, you know what? It could just be a moment of a heated discussion, right? With the person, you know what? We just pause, right? You go over to your space.
Okay.
I'm gonna go over to my space, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's a low level pause, right? Let's say now that it gets to the point where this unresolved trauma is now escalating to verbal abuse, right?
Issues within the relationship.
Right, absolutely. And so now this pause has been elevated to a whole nother level, because now you're threatening me. So until you're able to control yourself, I got to protect myself, because right now my mental health, my well-being is important, and I'm not going to allow myself to be in a situation where I'm verbally abused, simply because you have unresolved trauma.
And that is, I understand that. I think that in any relationship, if you are being physically, mentally abused, there's financial abuse. No one. It's considered an unsafe environment.
Mm-hmm.
No one should allow themselves to be abused in any kind of way. So yes, if you feel that you are being abused because of this unresolved trauma, then yeah, the relationship should take a pause. You mean like, you know what, I'm going to temporarily move out. I'm still going to help you, but I cannot live in this unsafe environment. I don't feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel the person is going to harm themselves, you dial 911.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you feel that the unresolved trauma is going to affect others,
Mm-hmm.
in the terms of violence, making threats against the public or whatever, then you dial 911. Then that's a problem. Mm-hmm. But no one should live in an unsafe environment. So yeah, if you are being verbally abused, physically abused, yeah, you need to protect yourself from this individual, because it's only going to escalate. And especially if they are not getting the help that they need, it's going to get worse. So yes, my answer to that is absolutely. You should take a pause, remove yourself from it. If you don't have anywhere to go for a second, it's kind of like you're having a conversation and things would escalate and you're like, okay, let's just take a break from this conversation right now and come back later. Maybe the next day you could talk about it. But, just to allow yourself to be verbally abused, no. It's just going to get worse.
It's going to get worse. And so you got something you want to add, Porcupine?
I listen. Unresolved problem. Check this out. You're in a you're in a marriage, and gradually, I've been going around asking a lot of questions about the election and also other things. And this weekend, we had a guy come and play pickleball with us. He rides this one wheel unicycle. He's crazy. Him and the lawyer, and they're just good at it. And I said, man, you're a great guy. You married? Yes. I said, wow. Because a little boy walked over that saw him was his friend's son and the mother. So I said, damn, you're a great guy. That's what they used to tell me. Big have a kid. You're a great guy. You know what he told me? If him and his wife have a child, they will break up. What he does when they're not agreeing or they can feel that they're getting ready to get at each other, and I've heard this from other couples, they are fortunate enough to know when to move away. Now, if there's no mental issues playing a role in it, if there's no physical abuse or issues going on, if it's just hardcore disrespectful back and forth, you need to abandon that. But now, if you're married, it's a little different to get out because most of the time women will hang in there with us. If I mean a lot of women that had a lot of hand played done to them, so they can't really be a good partner for me, if you know what I mean. And the other thing I was going to add to that while I was listening is when you meet someone, how are you safeguarding yourself if you're not asking all of these vulnerable questions to find out if there's anything going on? Because people cover up, people could be on meds. All of those things matter if you're thinking about something long term, and all of those things matter short term. Because if I can't sleep with your ass, if I gotta keep one eye open in the bed, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta be physically safe, and that goes for the woman too. This is not a game when people get together. We're man and woman and others. All of that biological makeup, psychological boom, boom, boom. You know what women go through, as far as their bodies as they develop. They start. Get into womanhood, butt get big, boobs get big. Different things take place in the body for them, whether they have a kid or not. All of these things play a role in what's going on. Somebody could even you can get hit in the head and everything can change. And that drama of taking care of somebody on a constant basis can wear them down. And you got to define what you mean because there's so many categories to it. So, it could just be, do you mean on what level are you trying to get this question answered? Is it level one where there's just a little yelling and screaming? Is it level two where it got physical? Is it level three? There's mental issues dealing with that and physical combined. Those are the things you got to do. And then you got to talk about how do you not get stuck in that, especially when you just met somebody.
Right.
I think, when it comes to trauma, trauma can form in many ways. For example, the carjacking.
Mm-hmm.
Trauma can happen from a sexual assault,
Right.
domestic violence, a natural disaster. And so it's about the person getting the help that they need.
Mm-hmm.
How this trauma is going to pour over not only into their personal life, but into their family life.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a partner and you have children together and you have this unresolved trauma, things can happen where, which you were talking about, Franklin, where, the verbal abuse. And you were asking, well, at what point should we take a pause? And I agree, some couples are very good at understanding how to take a pause. It gets escalated. So it's like, you know what, we're not going to deal with it right now. I see that, you're getting upset, I'm getting upset. We're not going to get anywhere with it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's come back to the table later.
Mm-hmm.
But, helping a person work through their trauma and resolve it is what you're trying to accomplish.
I was getting ready to say that too, because I'm sorry. Go
ahead. Relationship, if it's physical, if it's emotional, if it's financial, no one should stay in that relationship. And I'm not saying, but everyone can't just leave. Everyone can't just walk away, because it's most of the time it's not that easy. Mm-hmm. It's not easy to walk away. So what do you do?
But when you I'm sorry. When you use the word unresolved, it sounds like in certain cases, like I think any one of us three would probably take a stand with respect to, okay, there was an incident last week, we didn't speak about it. The second week, we didn't speak about it. The third week, we didn't speak about it. That's the unresolved aspect of not addressing it. Is that, and that's what you see, because if you address it, it won't be so much excuse me, it won't be so much of an unresolved.
Next time you sneeze, let me know so I can cover my microphone and stuff up.
Oh, that just happened. I'm just sitting here. I try to.
I don't
I should
know.
have hit my I, anyway, I've never done that in my life.
No.
You know, it's
No,
kind of,
but what we're talking about, we're talking about um things that that happened in your past that you have not been able to get help from. So, for example, me growing up in a drug house, right, and me saying I was not given permission to feel, right, and so going through my life and my relationships, I didn't have the ability to express those feelings to my children or to my wife to a degree, right? And so because of those unresolved traumas, I'm unable to really experience the fullness of my relationships.
Okay, so let's use another word instead of saying unresolved, maybe untreated.
Untreated. Yeah, that's what we get. We get untreated trauma.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten treatment. I'm all right. I'm good.
I just need to, calm down. I just need a few days to get myself together, and then I'll be back to myself. Well, I've noticed, like I said earlier, I've noticed the past 3 months, you haven't been yourself. You are not the person that I knew 3 months ago. Mm-hmm. You say things to me that are very unkind. There's times when I see you drinking. You've had the same shirt on for the past week. Yep. You're not taking care of your body. You're not keeping yourself up. Or, you know what? You're not going to work like you should. You've been calling in 3 times a week. These are things that can happen to someone that has untreated trauma. So yeah, is it going to affect our relationship? Absolutely. It will. And as a woman over time, especially if we have children and I see that it's escalating and it's growing and he or she will not get the help that they need, yeah, my avenue would be to exit. It's time for me to exit because I've done all that I could do to help you.
Mm-hmm. This is a great... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was getting ready to say, being that today, I just did a veteran show earlier and another one. My aunt wrote a book and did that. Being that it's Veterans Day, and you are talking about unresolved trauma or just things that need to be taken care of, we have to, it would be an incredible conversation if we were able to get I forgot a military wife, which I know because my aunt is, and I can talk on behalf of that with resolved trauma. My uncles and them came back from the war, and some wasn't in the war, and the women were there. You don't have an idea of anything going on. Everybody's partying. We're back home. The kids, they made it back. That was the first thing. But those men, no matter what level, they came back with something. And
Absolutely.
and my aunt and my uncle mentioned this in the podcast today, but not exclusively. There was drugs, and there was my aunt just kept going. She has trauma dealing with her sons. She had 4 boys, one very handicapped. My other cousins, and I've been involved with all their lives because they rolled with me when they were coming up. And my uncle, he had a problem where we believe we're professional family, blue collar, hardcore, but he was on the street. So, and his family, and then the other uncles, and you gotta have women, or you have to have a male, somebody that has that sponge that can absorb all of that. Because my aunt could have just threw him out. Yes, I'm done. That lady has been through so much shit that it's incredible. And then she turns around and writes a book about her mother. Then she's got another book about her son. She's dealing with some other unfortunate things. So what I'm getting at is, in this particular incident, and I know others, she let it play out. And then you start to de-escalate the usage, what type of substance you're using. And it got to the point where it was manageable with the alcohol and a little weed. And not even to this day, he's probably done. He doesn't do anything. They stayed together. They probably are together for more than 40 years easily.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the military wives that I know, not personally to a degree, but but I do know, that have their sons coming home with brain trauma. They cannot physically function on themselves. They're married. And what if it's a stepson or vice versa? All of this is in the mix. And the key to this, it's like me with my brother. I mean, if I watch his ass every day, I mean, I'm not, I mean, and then the people that we're talking about that have the trauma and the ones that are being even traumatized because you have it, and there's got to be that sponge and that strong pillar. Because on another podcast, there's a man, he's taking care of 2 Down syndrome children that are not his. And I had Down syndrome in my family. And he's at the point where he felt that if he doesn't do what he's doing, they would be, dead, but it's destroying him. So his trauma, by taking care of other people, you know what I mean? So it's gotta be a balance. But with people like us, and you're capable of communicating for the better good of the family, there have to be a displacement decision. And for safety, this was a white gentleman. He just killed the whole goddamn family. There was a lot of that in the last 4 months, where
Mm-hmm.
men just killed their entire family. And that PTSD, it's real. So those women are sticking it out, and maybe they need to go and have a drink, whatever the case may be. But it has to be resolved, and it has to be put in a situation where it's being managed. Otherwise, it can be detrimental.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And unfortunately, I know I had one of my good friends was visiting, and she is a nurse and she works in behavioral health. She and I met at the hospital years ago, and she was just telling me about some of her cases. And she works for Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C., and it is just overwhelming. Um, she's had a child as young as 4 years old to come in with a just traumatic experience from the dad. And so if that child remains untreated,
Mm-hmm.
imagine what is going to happen to that 4-year-old now. And when they turn the age, let's say 10, 15, 20, if it's left untreated, what that child is going to, what their life is going to be.
Right.
Chaos.
And
I do know that.
Go ahead.
No, you do it. Go ahead, brother.
No, and that's the part where we have to give that child the space to try and figure it out emotionally. Like what's going on with you? Because that the trauma that happened to that child at 4 years, they don't know what happened.
Right.
You really don't know. All you know is that you itching.
Right. But the child, the most important part was here you have a 4-year-old, they're talking about suicide, harming themselves. And that's like I said, trauma happens in many ways. It happens in many ways. And so if it's left untreated, yeah, we're going to continue to have, the suicide rate is just astronomical with people that have just unresolved trauma. And the only way out is by killing themselves, harming themselves. And so when you are in a relationship with someone and you see someone struggling, you may not know exactly what the person is going through, but just assume this. Just assume everyone is going through something. No matter who you are in life, me, you, my neighbor, my kids, it doesn't matter who you are. Everyone is going through something. But if you don't recognize what has happened to you, it's just going to escalate into something harmful, into something very unhealthy.
Right. And so being in a relationship with someone, that a way to navigate this road with this person is using what I consider asking them, are you in your best space? Are you in your best space?
But they may not.
And that's what I'm asking you. Well, what is your best space? And then now you can explain. In the best space where you feel empowered, where you feel optimistic, where you feel joy, that you feel energized. Are you in that space where you can create a state of exhilaration, right? Like whoa, like on demand. Can you? And you're like, what? I'm not. But I'm not that kind of person, right? And so, but my thing is, when you rate yourself on how you feel, are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Right? How do you feel? 10 being your best. And then they're like, you know what? I'm about a 4. Right now, I'm about a 4. And so now, so the follow-up question is there anything I can do to get you to your best space? Is there anything I can do to get you to your best space? Because I want to experience you in your best space. I want to experience you better than you are right now.
Okay, but another question for them would to be if you give them a question, if you give them, okay, let's say you're from 1 to 5, and they're like, oh, I'm at a 2. So what makes you? Why are you at a 2? How are you? What are you feeling in this moment that puts you at a 2? hear what they have to say, and then ask them, how can I help you get to a 5? Mm-hmm. How can I help you get to 8? What is it that I can do to help?
And so here's the dynamic part about that question, because in most cases that person is not going to ask you to do something that they know that you can't do to bring them up to a whole nother level.
But you know what? It might be something simple as, will you go for a walk with me?
There you have it.
It could be something simple. It doesn't have to necessarily give them the platform.
Give them the platform.
Platform for them.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is that's
answer.
Yeah. Who not true? What's not true? What's someone reply say not true?
Yeah,
we want to figure out what's not true, right?
I can see the questions from here.
You can see them too? You can see the remarks?
I can't see them.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to figure out. She said something is not true, and we want to figure out what she's saying is not true, right? But anyway,
it could be.
Let us know what's not true.
Oh, what they think is not true. Because again, when it comes down to, I guess what they're trying to say is what the person is not true that they're going to ask you to do something that you can't do, right? You will not know the person can do something if you're not asked, or if it's not asked or discussed. So I understand your point. What I'm saying is, well, let me ask you, who's this Carolina? So if you can tell me, in the last 10 years, when have you asked somebody to do something that you knew in your heart that they could not do? Right?
Well, I think it's reaching, Franklin. I think reaching. I really think that's reaching, because when you ask someone, what can I do to help you? Mm-hmm. Let me think. Let me see what I think he can do. I'm not going to sit there and think what you can or can't do. You're asking me a question.
Right.
So I'm answer it. I'm going to ask you, well, take me to the moon. Of course I know you can't take me to the moon. So I'm going to ask you a question. So I'm going to answer, well, can you take me to see a movie? Mm-hmm. I don't know what it may be, but I'm saying I think that's reaching too much. If you ask someone, how can I help? Mm-hmm. Realistically, they're not going to sit there and think about, well, what is it that he can do? They're going to come up with the answer of how can help them to feel better, to help to get into a better way.
Right. And you're absolutely right.
That's it. Point blank.
Point blank.
Person to say, well, I can't do that. Okay. But I think the bottom line is you have to allow them to answer. Don't assume they're sitting there pondering about what he can, his limitations, his or her limitations, because we don't know.
But you're right. You don't know, right? My point in saying that is to the person who is caring for their friend, right, and saying that, hey, I'm really concerned about you. Mm-hmm. And I really want, to get, are you at a scale of 1 to 5, right? And you're at a 2, and I'm like, hey, is there anything I can do to get you to a 5? The person I'm talking to the person who is concerned about their friend, right? And having you to have that a level of confidence where you really can know that it's possible for you to help your friend improve in this particular situation, in this particular moment, right? That you can, like you say, I just need a hug, right? I just need a hug right now.
Right.
Right? Or you know what? Let's go get some ice cream. Let's watch a movie. Or if you can just let me just sit right here, right?
Right. Right. Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. Is that your friend is typically going to say something that it's possible that we can do together right now.
Right. Because the person that you're asking, what you are asking a question of someone that you want to be in the moment with that person. Mm-hmm. So I'm with you and we're both right here. We're focused on you, mm-hmm. and we're going to try to get you feeling better, if not for the next 10 minutes or just for that moment. Mm-hmm. What can I do to help you? Right. You can give love.
Right.
Or let's go out to dinner. Mm-hmm. Something right. that help to lift them up. And then, maybe the atmosphere has changed and the person is feeling a little better. Mm-hmm. And then you well, you know what? I've been thinking about, us looking for a therapist for
mm-hmm.
you,
mm-hmm.
to get help so you can begin to feel better. So, so we can, hit this thing head on and give them that support, give them that gig, mm-hmm. Be gentle, intentional, and
graceful.
The other great, yeah.
Right, giving them grace.
Yeah, give them that grace. Mm-hmm. And so open up that window where they can feel like, I can take in a deep breath and I can breathe just for a moment. Mm-hmm. And we just don't know what may happen, but just to assume that someone's going to think, well, what is it that I can do to help you? Well, I'm going to tell you what you can do to help me at that moment. Mm-hmm. At that moment.
Right. Absolutely. And so this person is saying that, and they may have people or outside forces that can help them get out of what was asked for. Right. Mm-hmm. They may have other people that they go for whatever helps them to get to that space. And so for that particular response, that's okay. Allow that person that grace. You know what? Don't feel like you're incapable of taking care of your friend. Respect that person's desires, right? Well, I understand. I'm not that person you want to share with me about that stuff, right? However, I'm just letting you know that when a moment comes, right, that you want to share, or if there's something I can do to help you to get to a better space, I want you to know that I'm on the line, right? I know I'm not top priority. I'm not in the number 3, right? But you may have me down there on 45. But just know that I'm holding my spot. I'm holding my spot. That I want you to know so that you don't end up being suicidal. That I'm still holding my spot. And I want you to remember that this moment was provided for you. Because I really do care about you and I want you to be in your best space, primarily because I'm your friend.
Yeah, I'm your friend and I need you to be healthy.
I need you to be healthy.
To be healthy. And let's do this together. If you don't want to do it together, then how can I help? Mm-hmm. Yes. The ball is in my court, and some people may walk away and say, I'm not ready for that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get any help. I'll be all right.
Right.
So, like I said, you cannot make people.
Come on, Porcupine. What did you say?
I was gonna. All right. So now I'm gonna shake it up a little bit. I know at least 50 people that are dealing with everything we're talking about to a degree right now. Now, here's how I dealt with one scenario similar. Do you know that we all have people that are either check on us, whether it be me, they're going to call. Hey, Reg, what you up to? I'm calling. What's going on? Nah, my son. Hey, what's up? But there's going to be incidents where that it's not going to be dealt that way. For instance, once we know when someone is calling me, another person, or another person, and it's within consecutive days after each other's days, there's something going on. So I'll call the individual and I say, hey, what's up? What you up to? You doing everything you're supposed to do? Because that's sometimes when there's meds involved, sometimes when there's visits involved, sometimes when there's just getting to the grocery store, making sure the food is in the house. When that is all in play, like for me, one time I said, listen, I'm not going to be playing with your religion. I'm going to say it nice and easy. I'm not going to be playing with your ass. I need to know what's going on. Talk to me. Sometimes it has to come across like that because you can play the patty pat, you can do all of that, but inside your heart, and it is our civic duty to call the alarm, even if the person is not willing to speak up because you're seeing unorthodox tendencies that you cannot allow that. And if it's family, you are responsible. So it's got to be like, you know what, this is what it is. Then that's one approach. Then the other approach is, listen, you need anything? Now keep in mind, when you say that word, do you need anything? You may be talking on the phone asking that question. You could be 6 miles away, or you could be in another state. So sometimes you're extending that. You're gonna be there for that, especially if it's family. But for you to be that effective support system, you're obviously going to need the helping hand from the person that you're trying to assist. And you if you're not dressing right, you're not showering up, and every time I see one person, I say, why aren't you getting a haircut? Because I know you always had a haircut. Then I know there's things going on. And if you're in a relationship, like even if somebody has a little, you got to know what you're working with. And if I'm going to date someone, you know what? I'm gonna tell y'all something. While y'all was talking, I was muted because when I sneezed, I went to and I got some tea. I'm doing my thing. I'm thinking, I'm listening to you two guys, and you always got good stuff. Man, you don't know how damn lucky God has built us. I swear, for God, for us to even discuss how to assist others, how to, and maybe we all got our little quirks. I mean, people go to the bathroom and they do things different. Whatever you got, but the insanity aspect is one of the most grateful gifts that I just realized in the kitchen moving around. And there's a lot of mental people on the street in New York and other places. And now and I know people may not like the person that won, but there's some talk with other groups that they need help with this. And everything that the scare tactics, you know how many people have drama? I mean, trauma after the election? It's crazy. I went to one girl and said, are you letting that get you like that? Come on, it's over. Stop. And she's dealing with this where I'm like, sweetheart, you cannot be absorbing your space and your time worried about that. And that could be just what she's dealing with. And it is sometimes with me, the people that I'm dealing with, it ain't a patty pat cake. If there's medication involved and you ain't taking your meds, or if you're not doing what you need to do, I'm getting it a little tougher because I'm the one crying when your ass is running around and you got me crazy. And then when the parents look at this now, I know 4 people who have autistic children. Can you imagine that? Them working. I know they having something going on within themselves, but they're that strong, they don't show it. And that's when you got to check on them as well. Because people that could be helping people with this trauma, it'll wind up working on them. And I know a lot of nurses that have done 20 years and all that. I just met 2. They said, I said, wow. She said, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with the ER. I'm done with the seeing death. It's just, you'd be surprised if we ever get a chance to talk to nurses about the trauma that they're dealing with, and then they take it home. They gotta. It's Teflon. You gotta be chosen. And I guess we're grateful. I'm grateful for what, because I'm like thinking, damn, thank God. I think I'm crazy. I'm pretty all right. I'm not crazy or nothing. And that's what I wanted to put out there. Because
Appreciate
one person I don't play with.
who's
Yes.
that?
One person.
Yeah, and so we're gonna wrap up. It's coming up on that 1 hour. But just final thoughts about this. We're gonna continue the conversation about untreated, the impact that untreated trauma has on a relationship. I will say that I know that my concept is foreign to a lot of people when it comes to someone asking you to do something that you cannot do. How I came to that conclusion was that when I was searching um, what happened to that caused the demise of my marriage, and I look back in those 20 years, 22 years, I look back in those 22 years and I was like, you know what? She never really asked me to do something that I couldn't do. I could have done all of those things. And when I put it in that frame, I'm not talking about things I didn't want to do or things that stretched me. It was that I could have done everything that she asked me to do. And that is where the convincing part for me is that um, even when I talk to my clients, I'm like, hey, I want you to write down 3, 4 things that she's asked you to do that you could not do. And oftentimes people cannot come up with 2 or 3 things that their spouse or their partner asked you to do that you could not do. Not that you didn't want to do it. Not that you didn't make time to do it or it inconvenienced you. But that's the part where I'm saying. That's the conviction that I have. I put that to on anybody. I really don't care who you are. I can meet you off the street and I can tell you to your face that you're not going to ask me to do something that you know I can't do. I test it all the time, and I encourage you to kind of just try and put it on. Just wear it, and if it fits, put it on. And if it doesn't fit for you, then throw it on. But just try it on, and just kind of see if this person is going to ask you to do something that you can't do. And if you can, if you find yourself in that situation, then you have a conversation like, hey, you know what? I can't do that, but I can do this. Will this be okay? And that's the part where the commitment comes in to helping your friend get to a better space. And that's what we're wanting to do, to help be that reliable person where you can help a person walk away with a positive experience with you. That's all I have.
So my is that when you have a friend, I know a family member, a friend in a relationship, and you're understanding that the person is through something. The best thing you can do is help the person is for them to understand what they are going through is traumatic.
Mm-hmm.
And to get the help that they need.
Mm-hmm.
Understanding. Practice that thing I call gig. Practice it. Practice it like you tie your shoe. Be gentle. Be intentional. And give them grace. Give them grace and give yourself grace.
Mm-hmm.
And understand that, this too shall pass. This too shall definitely pass. Mm-hmm. But have an understanding with the person. Mm-hmm. And try to hang in there with them as much as possible. Because it's like earlier, we're all going through something. We just don't know what it is. So, and practice that gig. We all need it.
We all need it. Absolutely. So we're going to close with that. Remember, Golden and the Champ is here Mondays and Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In the event that you would like to be a guest on the show, Heart to Heart, send us a message through Intimate Discoveries and say, "Hey, I want to come on the show. I got this situation I want to talk to you about. Can you all have me on the show to talk? Because I want to. Well, I just want to get a different perspective. Can you maybe help me to look at things a little bit different?
Right.
And if you want to come on the show, or you have a friend who wants to come on the show, or who needs to come on the show, I know you got 2 or 3 friends who need some help. And just to say, hey, listen, you know what? I'm not talking anymore because you don't listen to me. I want you to go on Intimate Discoveries, Heart to Heart. I want you to talk to them and see if they can help you.
Absolutely.
And have them to send us a DM, and then we're going to get them locked in.
That's right. Touch our hearts so we can touch your heart.
Oh, my gosh. Look out. Amen. So that being said, touch our heart so we can touch your heart. Heart to Heart with Golden and the Champ. And we are out. Thank you all so much.
Good night.
Stay well.